Austin Tech Connect is the official podcast of the Austin Technology Council. Founded in 1992, ATC exists to help unite the local technology ecosystem and to encourage the spread of community, collaboration, and conversations in Central Texas. This podcast is sponsored by SailPoint. They are a leading provider of identity security for the modern enterprise, empowering organizations worldwide to put identity security at the core of their business. With a foundation of artificial intelligence and machine learning, SailPoint Identity Security delivers the right access to the right identities and resources at the right time. Now, here is this week's episode.
Welcome to Austin Tech Connect, the official podcast of the Austin Technology Council. My name is Tom Singer, and every single week, we try to engage local leaders to hear their story of success and to find out different things that are happening around the tech ecosystem here in Central Texas. And today, we're going to go a little different direction. Today, I am joined by somebody from Austin Bergstrom Airport. Oh my gosh, what are we going to talk to about Austin Bergstrom Airport and how it affects tech? Oh, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about because we are joined by Rick Belliotti, and he is the Deputy Chief of Information Technology and the Acting Chief Experience and Performance Officer. I don't even know what that second one means, but we're going to find out in just a few minutes. Hey, Rick, welcome to the show.
Great. Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
So those of you who have never heard of Rick Belliotti, hey, he's only lived in Austin for a couple of years, but he has more than 20 years experience working for major airports all around the world, is both a consultant and working for the airports. He started his career in the semiconductor business and then moved over to working in airports. Throughout his life, he's lived in Pittsburgh, in Phoenix, in San Diego, and now he calls himself an Austinite. He also he oversees a lot of cool things that are going on at our airport. And if you've been paying attention, there's a lot of cool things to come with our airport. So we're gonna peel back the onion and learn a little bit about that. In his personal life, he has 5 kids. Hey, Rick, that's a lot of kids. And this is the funny part. 4 of his 5 kids this summer, like starting a week ago, all the way through August, 4 of the kids are graduating from college. So I think Rick is getting a personal raise because he doesn't have to pay for 4 colleges all at once anymore.
It's going to be great.
That's right. So Rick, let's get started. I think you said your early life started in Pittsburgh. Where'd you go to college, and then where'd you go after that?
Yeah, so I'm a Sun Devil, so I went to Arizona State University, so Sun Devils. And I got my bachelor's degree in computer information systems. So I actually did something with my college degree, which is kind of unusual, I think.
I was a political science major, and here I am running the Austin Technology Council. So I didn't do anything with my major.
I started out as an engineer, and I realized that all the cute women were in the business college. So as a young college student, I went over to the business side and got a business degree. But yeah, I started there, and then right out of college, got a job in the Motorola semiconductor product sector, working in their computer integrated manufacturing.
Nice. So when did you move over to airports? You said you've been doing it 20 years. How did the world of IT, airport IT come up?
So I made a brilliant tactical move. 3 of my daughters are triplets, so that's where the 5 kids come in. And when I had the triplets, it was right as the semiconductor industry was going into the early 2001 slide, and there was a economic downturn, and my boss came to me and said, "You're going to take a pay cut." And I said, "I have not taken a pay cut." And I said, "No.
You just had triplets and you're taking a pay cut."
That's right. I said, "No, you're going to have to."
Welcome to corporate America. There you go.
I don't think so. I quit. And I literally walked out the door. And that's ultimately, I ran into a friend who was selling his house to a guy who had a contract at Phoenix Sky Harbor. And that's how I got into airports, was because I had too many kids.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what brought you to Austin. You've been here 2 years. What made you say, "I'll take that job"?
Yeah. Austin, I've been to Austin a few times over my life, and the Central Texas area, just absolutely love it. Love hill country. Love the feel of it is much like Phoenix, but plus humidity. And so that's kind of what I grew up in, and I really liked it. But the people are great here. And as an airport person, which is what I would view myself as, I love airports. I always want to work in airports. I'm not really a city government type person. I really love airports. That's my passion. We look for large, challenging opportunities. And what Austin was going through the last couple of years and continues to go through is tremendous growth, dealing with lots of passengers, dealing with lots of construction and new development, and that was really energizing and interesting to me. And with that comes a lot of technology opportunity, a lot of things that we can do from a technology perspective to help both the passengers and the airport operate more efficiently. The passengers have a better journey, and I just saw a lot of opportunity here and a great challenge.
Well, and that's a great segue. There's sort of two things I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about the IT side, but you're also involved with a lot of other things that are going on at the airport, and a lot of us are impacted by some of the things that are going on. So in the introduction, I said you're the Deputy Chief of Information Technology. That makes a lot of sense, why we would have you on the Austin Technology Council podcast. However, you're also the Acting Chief Experience and Performance Officer, which I don't know what that means. So why don't you tell us what that job is? The Deputy Chief of IT, we got figured out, but what's the other one?
Looking at the passenger experience and how do we help make that experience better, and also looking at how do our employees from a aviation department perspective, how do they perform and how do we help them do better? So I have a couple of things. I have brand in my wheelhouse, which is under our marketing PIO. And then I also have our HR and performance management, which is around the people that are working here. And so putting those two things together and tying it in with technology really helps me kind of focus in on how do we deliver really interesting experiences for Austinites, which have a whole different makeup than anywhere else I've been. And learning that and understanding how to deliver that has been a lot of fun.
So let's start with the experience side, and then we'll get back to the technology that goes on behind the scenes sort of in the airport. But from the experience side of a traveler, so part of my career is I've been a professional speaker. In 2015 through the pandemic, I was on the road 100 nights a year. So coming out, at least once a week, coming in and out of Austin Bergstrom Airport. And I always find it to be one of the most pleasant airports. I've probably been in, the majority of the major city airports in North America. And, it seems to run really smooth. The experience is good. The restaurants are great. We used to have the rule that behind security, all the restaurants had to be Austin-based restaurants. I've noticed that's not true anymore. Thank God, because I have my Starbucks inside security now. But, let's talk a little bit about what that experience is, because a lot of people in technology, they're avid travelers. A lot of our tech community, a lot of the people who are involved with the Austin Technology Council and beyond, the airport's our second home. So let's talk about some of those experiences and what makes Austin so great.
Sure. So you mentioned a couple of them. Sure. The food, the music, the ambiance that we have on the backside of the airport is, there's nothing that compares to that I've seen in our industry. We do a really, really good job at that.
In fact, I have a buddy who is one of my college fraternity brothers who is a pilot for Southwest Airlines. And while he doesn't lay over in Austin very often, so I don't ever get to see him, he loves it when they have a little layover so that he has time to get off the plane and eat. He says it's his favorite airport to get off the place and go eat.
That's great to hear. And, we're starting to see a little bit more of that connecting passenger traffic as we grow and change as an airport. That's always a good thing to see. I actually have a friend kind of like yours. He works as a consultant, and if he has to go to Orlando, he tries to always go through Austin because he loves the connecting experience here. So I appreciate those kinds of stories. We're pushing over 22 million passengers through. So when we start talking about experience, we have to talk about, new construction, new build, and, how we're kind of outgrowing where we're at today. The terminal, as it was designed in 1999, 25 years ago, we're actually celebrating our 25th anniversary. That terminal was really designed for about 15 million passengers. And so there's a lot of growth that was not necessarily contemplated to go so quickly, especially after the pandemic. And we're trying to catch up to that. So a lot of our experience is really more becoming around how do we tactically deal with more people than what the building was originally designed for, while at the same time building around all of those people and trying to create a better experience. So I'm happy to hear stories about people who love the airport, but I know that there's a lot of challenges trying to get through our terminals, trying to get through, our security and such. So some of the ways that we can look at that from a technology perspective is how can I get people information that they need in order to make wise decisions or quick decisions as quickly as possible. And so those are the types of technologies we look for when we're looking at the passenger side of the house.
So when it comes to sort of technology and the experience that I would have when I go to the airport, I mean, the things that come to my mind is like Clear and just all the technology that's involved with screening and going through there. What are some of the other technologies that are happening around us for our experience that maybe we see and don't think of?
Yeah, so certainly the flight displays, all of the displays that show you your flight information, those are heavily used. Lots and lots of wayfinding signs are digital these days. The airline systems, there's two different types of airline systems that happen here. One where we provide the system for the airlines, and the other where the airline is using their own system, but they're riding on our network. So we are centrally kind of responsible for all of the IT stuff that happens here. So those are the sort of the front of the house things. And then you've got, the baggage systems, right? The baggage system is a big one. The security system is another large system. These are things that are in place to not only help the passenger, but also to provide a safe and secure environment, which really, when you think about an airport, that is one of the paramount things that an airport should be providing is safety and security. And so that baggage system is super important. It is way taxed. We talked about how big the airport was made for versus how many people are going through, and we're doing a lot of work to improve that as well. But those are probably some of the back end systems that you don't see. Lots of Wi-Fi, lots of those types of technologies, right? It seems like Wi-Fi is the bottom of Maslow's law now, and so everybody needs Wi-Fi in order to survive. So we get a lot of interest in that particular technology, which I always find interesting.
Well, it's interesting because I've noticed that, I don't know if you're done, but I know you've replaced almost all of the carry-on screening baggage things that now looks like they're going into like a Space Odyssey type thing. They're all circular, and you have to put things in everything has to go in one of the big gray bins, and it's self-choosing. It slides out and goes by itself. What was the purpose of redoing all of those, or was it just they were getting to be 20 years old, or whatever it is?
Yeah, no, I mean, new technology, the biggest advantage to those is that you don't have to take anything in your bag anymore. And so when you start thinking about the non-clear, non-TSA pre-check passengers, to be able to speed up that process, we're really trying to make that as nice as we can.
Oh, so they don't have to take their laptops out anymore.
They do not take their laptops out, their liquids out. All of that stays in the bag now, which is the beauty of those machines. And the secondary thing is eventually, and I don't think the TSA has gotten there because that's a partnership between us and the TSA. Those machines can actually be centrally monitored, so you don't necessarily have to have somebody sitting at each one of them in order for them to operate. Now, we're not there yet because we don't have the capacity or the people or the needs for that, but that technology does exist, and we'll eventually get there.
So from the plans I've seen, the expansion kind of has like a hint of like a baby Atlanta. Like the next terminal will be not necessarily connected. It'll be a big rectangle sitting out farther out away from parking, and you'll go through an underground tram to get to it. What's that all going to be about?
Yeah, so you could think Atlanta, you could think Denver. Those are both similar kind of setups. It'll be an underground tunnel for the first concourse because we're really talking a distance that a tram doesn't make sense. But the point of doing it that way gives us a lot more.
Is there room to do a third rectangular one out there farther out?
There's a room to do a couple more down there. Yeah. So that's part of the other logic is we can continue to allow the airport to grow as Austin and the Central Texas region starts to grow.
I think for those of us who've been around 20, 30 years, the thought of an airport that's 4 times the size of our existing airport with the number of gates is just freakish. But I guess we have to at least be prepared for that growth, right?
It's coming like hot. Just the old back when I was growing up in Phoenix, we had 2 freeways, I-10 and I-17, and they refused to build any other freeways because they felt like that would keep people from coming and keep the growth down. Well, Phoenix is a very large city, so that didn't work out.
San Diego tried to do that back in the 70s and 80s. Phoenix tried to do it. Austin tried to do it back in the 80s and early 90s. And you know what? If you've got the infrastructure, I mean, if you've got the cool vibe, people come without the infrastructure, and then we're always playing catch up. So now let's talk a little bit about sort of the behind the scenes sort of IT stuff that runs the airport, sort of in your role of deputy chief of IT. What is sort of the internal tech that you have to do? Is it just like every other company for everything that you have to do?
Really is. Yeah. for all of our tenants, we provide all layer two networking. So nobody comes past my IT building without going through our network. And so that kind of helps us manage. One of the challenges an airport has is you have many, many tenants. You have, think of it like a shopping mall, but quite larger than a shopping mall. And because of that, there's it can become very messy from an IT perspective. And so this is one way that helps keep it clean, helps us manage that. We provide all of the back end systems for our back office people. So anybody that's doing finance or HR or anything you would even see in a normal company, we have it here. Airports really are a small city in and of themselves. We have very much the same types of services. And then in our case, because we're a city department, we also liaise for the department with the rest of the city because they do provide us other IT systems. So we've got slightly different than a private company as far as the number of interested parties that we get to deal with.
So, a lot of people who listen to this podcast, work for tech companies or they're entrepreneurs and founders and have people who work for them who travel, or they themselves travel. What are some things about the airport, whether it's IT or just overall experience? What are some things about the airport that you wish everybody in Greater Austin knew and understood? And how can we maximize our experience when we come to the airport? Because, I know where I'm going to park. I've got it figured out, right? I'm not going to tell everybody because then everybody will do it. But I know which garage, I know which floor, at what time of day. I have a whole system figured out. But what are some of the tips and tricks about Austin Bergstrom Airport that we should know?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, patient. Anytime you're traveling, if you can get into the mindset of just being kind of laid back and relaxed, I think that helps a lot, right? Airports are stressful. The traveling experience can be stressful. The security screening sometimes can be stressful for people. And so anything that you can do to sort of prepare yourself for that level of stress is always helpful. We've got a couple of technologies for people that are helpful that they probably don't know about. In our garages, for example, if you forget where you parked, we can tell you where you're parked. So there's a methodology of us knowing where our vehicles are, and based on the ticket, based on the license plate, especially in the blue garage, we've got some cameras in there that tell you, where parking spaces are available, and then that also helps us.
By the way, the little green and red lights in the blue garage don't work necessarily.
It is.
In theory, those are the greatest things ever. Mm-hmm. I have chased more than one green light to find a car in that space.
Yeah. It's it's definitely something we need to help that company work through because it's not just this airport. The same at malls, same type of problem. It's a great idea. It just needs some effort to make it better. The other thing I would say is we have a mapping functionality from a company called Atrius, where through our website, or there's actually a QR code throughout the airport that'll pull it up on your phone. You can get directions from your car to wherever you want to go in the terminal, and so that's super helpful. Those are kind of little things I don't know a lot of people know about, but that are helpful to sort of give people take some of the angst out of the travel experience, I think.
So I know with all the changes that are going at the airport, because I've seen it, you have people who are outreaching to the business community, looking for ideas and looking for input from frequent flyers, if you will. If somebody has ideas about the airport, if somebody wants to share their ideas, how do they get that message to the right people?
That's a really good question. There's a couple of ways that I would suggest, right? We certainly have all of our social media presence. That's always a good way to get, first recognition. If it's a little bit more detailed than that, we do have a comments section on our website that sends an email into our internal folks, and then they route it to the right people. And if I get one of those, I personally respond out to whoever wrote that. So those are two pretty simple ways. What I love about this airport and what I love about this city is how friendly everybody is. And, when you think about Austin Bergstrom International Airport, everybody that works for the airport department wants to help people. That's what we're here for. Like, you'll see me out in the terminals in an orange vest helping passengers get around. We all love to do that because it's really important to us. And so you can even send any one of us an email, and we will respond and start a conversation. So we all want to do better. We all want it to be better, and we love lots of ideas. When I started my career in semiconductor world, my job was to come up with 1,000 ideas, and none of them had to be good. So I get, we may get lots of bad ideas, but that's okay. We always like to travel through a lot of those ideas.
Nice. Well, I want to shift gears a little, especially because you've lived in our community sort of for 2 years. And even though, you don't work for a tech company, you work in tech. So you're tied directly into our tech ecosystem, if you will. Yeah. What are some of the things that you think Austin does really well when it comes to supporting both tech companies and the technologists who work for all types of companies? Because really, in 2024, all companies are tech companies. Nobody's running without tech. So what do you think Austin does really well? And then is there anything we should be looking forward to do better?
Yeah. Okay. So I think what we do really well, again, it's that whole social aspect, right? We're very good at the meetups. We're very good at casual conversations with one another to kind of get to know one another. I think everybody is that sort of ilk. That's just what I find here, which is quite different than what I would have experienced in San Diego for my time there. The one thing I will say San Diego does a little bit better, and probably Boston, maybe Denver, I won't mention the Bay Area, is really kind of that startup and the funding community. The ecosystem is growing here. I just don't know that we're there yet. And one of the things we're going to do, which I did a little bit of in San Diego, was starting up an innovation program. And really kind of the point of the innovation program is twofold. The ideas like you've talked about, but also the community doesn't really know from a tech perspective, the community doesn't know that airports exist. And airports are a very huge economic engine. And we're a very niche market. And so exposing that to small local businesses, exposing that to the local community, and getting their ideas on how to improve not just our airport, but airports in general, that's a great opportunity. And I think we will be doing better there. That's one of the areas that we would improve on. I think, as I've kind of walked through my last 2 years, the InnoTech Awards, that community is really good. We've got lots of good energy around the groupings of getting tech people together, and now it's really about how do we get that investment dollar into the community even more than we have today.
Nice. All right, so I'm a big believer that community, collaboration, and conversations can solve all problems. So I ask every guest as we wrap up the podcast, when I say community, collaboration, and conversations, which one of those words resonates the most with you? I realize they're all important. Which resonates the most, and why?
I think collaboration for me, it's for me, that's where everything does come together. When we can sit down as a community and collaborate together, the other two fit into that particular one. And I think that if we can create an environment where we are collaborating and it's free flow of ideas, that's where all of the cool stuff starts to happen.
Nice. Last question. So if one of your friends from Phoenix or from San Diego was going to come visit and they'd never been to Austin before, what attraction in Austin would you take them to?
Oh my gosh, what attraction in Austin would I take them to? Well, I'm a foodie, so I'm going to take them to Black's or some, Salt Lake is right down the road from my house, so I'd probably take them there.
Oh, we're neighbors then. I'm not too far.
There we go. All right. So barbecue. So if we've ever driven on the same road, I apologize up front. Anyway, so barbecue is always an important thing here, and we always take people to go to barbecue. We love taking people down the green and, just experiencing that, community. It's just a great, vibrant community. Taking them down to, let's see, how old are we? So I've been here when it was Town Lake. I definitely had been here when it's Town Lake. But Lady Bird Lake is a great experience. And I'm too old for 6th Street, but certainly going down South Congress is a great fun time.
Nice. So I'm gonna turn this around and say, if someone's going through the airport, what's the best attractions in the airport that people should see, eat at, experience?
Okay. Well, that's our sleep at the wheel stage is there's nothing better than that. I've not seen anything like it in our industry, and the food that's around there is all good. I have to be sort of, any of our food is great, so you can go to any of them. But that asleep at the wheel stage, when it's popping, that's an amazing experience.
I can tell you, I got really happy when Taco Deli found its way into the airport. You can't say it, but I can. I was really happy to find Taco Deli in the airport.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and I guess Huts is another one that's sort of this is about its only place.
I was going to say, you can only get Huts in the airport now. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So any final words for everybody, Rick?
No, listen, we are the front porch of Austin, and we'd love you to come and sit on the porch with us, sip some tea, and enjoy everything that we have to offer.
I love that. I think I'm going to call this episode The Front Porch of Austin. I like that. Awesome. Well, Rick Belliotti, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to the next time I travel. I will think of you every time I'm in the airport now, and I look forward to seeing the expansion. I'm excited to see what we do with the next phase, and maybe we can get a Centurion Club in our airport. That would be kind of a nice addition and all that. So thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for all you do for the IT side of our airport, and then all the other things you do as well. And thanks to everybody who tuned in and listened. You know what? We do this show for the community. So please let us know what you think of the show. Let us know who else we should be interviewing that has interesting things, because our tech ecosystem isn't just about, startups and exits and venture funding and, cool tech. Our whole ecosystem touches a lot of things. And like we said today, the airport is part of that tech ecosystem. So make sure that you're giving us some feedback, and share this podcast with all your friends, because the only way people find podcasts is somebody says, hey, do you listen to that show? So make sure you tell everyone in your office. And is your company a member of the Austin Technology Council? You know what? We're trying to do a lot of really cool things as we go into this next phase, and we can't do it alone. We're a community organization first and a membership organization second. But if we don't have the members, we don't have the finances to serve the community. So please make sure that your organization is supporting the Austin Technology Council. You can find out more information at austintechnologycouncil.org.
Thanks for listening to the Austin Tech Connect podcast. Make sure your company is a member of the Austin Technology Council and add your voice to the future of our tech ecosystem in Central Texas.